My name's Austin. I own 12 acres down in Getho, down in the Getho Valley along the Allsops Creek. I bought the property back in 2019. I had Landcare come down and we discovered that there's actually a colony of giant Gippsland earthworms down there, which are these really fantastic creatures.
This is a partner project it's funded by the Victorian Government. We are working with DELP, with South Gippsland Landcare Network, and Federation Uni are also involved. And we have an environmental ecologist called Beverly Van Praag from Invertebrate Eco, and she's the one who comes out and helps us do assessments and work out where the earthworms are.
Giant Gippsland earthworms are a giant species of earthworm native to Australia. Well, they're actually found in a very small area of South and West Gippsland in Victoria. So it's an area of maybe 40,000 hectares. They're actually just found in two main habitat types. One is along creek banks or drainage channels, generally above the active floodplain because they don't like to be flooded out. They like well-drained blue-grey clay soils. Or the other type of habitat we find them is on generally south, maybe west, but most often south-facing very steep hill slopes where you'll see that they have soaks, and often that's made evident by the presence of terracettes. That's a great question. How do we know where these earthworms occur? Well, there is no above-ground signs that they occur, and they live their entire lives underground. So it is a little bit tricky to find out where they are. But the way that we do it is we look for areas of suitable habitat. And then when we find that suitable habitat, we actually walk over it and listen to the gurgling sound that these earthworms make while they move down their burrows.
Giant Gippsland earthworms live underneath the ground their whole lifespan. They never come up, but they can be at threat from things that disturb their habitat. So for example, if cows are in a spot above a giant Gippsland earthworm colony and there's too many cows in there in winter and they're pugging it up, that can be a threat to the earthworms. Or in case here at Austin's place, there's a colony right on the edge of the creek, and it's on the edge of the creek bank, and the cows are crossing the creek there, and they're still causing erosion, and that's impacting them as well. So the kind of things that we're doing to protect these earthworms is fence it off to keep the cattle out, and we're using a modified revegetation technique with tussock grasses over the top just to hold the bank together and prevent any further erosion in that spot. And then 30 metres back from that colony is where the normal kind of larger revegetation plants will go. For the colony on the hillside, however, you know, look, they seem pretty happy. They're still doing okay there. So what we have decided to do there instead is to help Austin put a fence up to help keep cattle off that area when it's wet over the winter months. But then in the summer months, it'll be fine for him to graze that area to keep the grass down.
Well, these earthworms are very conservative in their movement. Actually, they don't really disperse at all. So they're found in very small areas where you get a whole combination of suitable habitat. And within that area, because it's often small and it's not contiguous, they are just confined to these small areas and they don't move. So, for example, I have been back to sites maybe 10, 20 years later, and the earthworms are in that exact same position. So they either die out if something goes wrong, or they'll live there for quite a long time if they're protected. Alan and Beverly Gregg actually took part in a project that was funded by the federal government called the Caring for Country program. And we specifically asked for people that might like us to use their sites as a demonstration site, I guess, to showcase how you might do appropriate planting to protect giant Gippsland earthworms. And so we found earthworms along the eastern side, but not on the western side of the creek. And it was a very active colony with lots of gurgles, and they were found, the entire length of the creek that we looked at. So we used their site as a demonstration site on how to plant. The guide that we've got for planting actually involves 3 zones. The first zone is where you've got earthworm habitat. Don't plant, just leave it open. The earthworms are doing well under the pasture, we leave them. Then after that, we have a bit of a buffer of maybe 30 metres where we just reduce the planting to lower water usage plants. Then after that, you do your normal ecological vegetation class planting. Now at this site, because the earthworms were all the way along the creek, we didn't want to leave it without being planted. So we sort of did a modified zone 2, and that was planting it with low water usage plants like Poa and Carax and Goodenia, a few plants like that. We did that the whole length in 2014, and then planted just normally on the opposite creek bank, which actually provided shade. Now, we monitored that site, so over 5 years, the planting was really successful. There are about 1,800 plants there, and we found earthworms really active all the way along. So we were really happy with the way it worked out and felt that that was a really good way to plant that sort of habitat along a creek bank and protect the earthworms as well.
You know, Giant Gippsland earthworms, no one ever really sees them generally. You know, they stay under the ground the whole time. The only reason you know that they're there is if you walk across the ground and you can actually hear the gurgling sound that they make, which is pretty awesome. And so there's a few other sort of things that people can use to identify where colonies are, and we'll talk, you know, for example, south-facing slopes or areas where there could be yabby mounds or buttercups. But really, the fact that you don't even know that they're there, you never see them unless something happens and the ground gets dug up. And yet they're a threatened species, and we really need to look after them. So it's great to have an opportunity here at Austin's Place to do just that.
Yeah, they're mysterious in a way. It's like a scaled up worm farm in a way.